Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
Welcome to Fathers of the Grind. This is Derek Teague with Daniel Fredo. Say hi, Daniel.
What up?
All right, God. There is no Tim Nestor this week. So I think that's a good thing. I really do, because the main topic that we're going to talk about is Death Stranding. And I got to say, as the resident negative person on the show, Tim kind of took over my position of negativity when talking about Death Stranding. I mean, he's not as aggressive as me, but he made it pretty clear that he does not give two rats about the existence of this game.
So much so that he's on a pretend friend date.
Yeah,
with some people.
By the way, Tim, we know you're lying. You don't have friends, and I doubt your wife's real. I bet you your wife's just like a blow up doll.
Actually, you know what Tim is doing right now? He hooked up his phone to his TV, and he's like, "Oh, Apple Arcade, let me play some Apple Arcade games."
He has a blow up doll named Katie, and he put red hair on. This is my wife. Yeah. All right. So, anyways, Tim's not here because, like I said, he's out with friends. He apparently has a life. Well, Daniel and I don't. But the main thing we're going to talk about is Death Stranding. I hit on it last week I talked about the reviews. I am probably going to hit on that again when I actually talk about what I've played so far. And then Daniel has almost hit the 10-hour mark, or he's around 10 hours. So he's a lot further than I am. Although I think I was actually shocked how much I played. I think I'm 3 or 4 hours in. And so I'll talk about that too. But I want to talk about anything else that we've played ahead of time. So, Daniel, is there anything else that you touched video game-wise? I only want to know what video games you've touched before we talk about Death Stranding.
Well, I touched the controller and then I played the games, if that's what you're asking.
Gosh. No.
Side note, I feel like this is like an alternate timeline where I'm just repeating myself again, and it's just going to keep looping, and now your face is white again, so now this is deja vu.
Because anytime I bring up a second screen, the reflection...
Sure.
I have an Assassin's Creed memory on my old Facebook.
I'm just pointing out that literally happened in the other timeline, and it just happened again, and that's really weird, so... Yeah. Anyways... So, Indivisible, I played a little bit more of that. I was getting a little bored with it because it was sort of bouncing me around a bit and was feeling a little all over the place. Sort of the approach of how you go into the new cities after you leave, sort of the main docking city, and you're trying to, unlock these gates so you can get to this location to go fight the big bad. And I was just getting a little bored, and then Outer Worlds came out, so then I was distracted with Outer Worlds, and Outer Worlds very good. So I played a couple more hours of each of those, but then I've been
really basically focusing on Death Stranding.
Yeah, exactly, because I wanted to get to that chapter 3 that I was hearing about. That's supposed to be a big change of pace in the game. The first 10 hours is kind of a lot of the same of what's going on there in the beginning. And then chapter 3 is supposed to break things up a bit, so I'm very curious. I'll get there probably tonight, as a matter of fact. So
okay, all right. So as far as me, besides my normal Rocket League, although I got a message while I was playing Rocket League from Xbox to let me know today that I've been banned from.
Wait, what?
I've been banned from being able to communicate on Xbox Live. This is.
I wonder why.
This has happened before,
sure.
And it's
Makes
because
sense.
I get reported for being aggressive. I get a little aggressive.
Be aggressive. Be aggressive.
I encourage people to not kill themselves, but I encourage them to reflect on who they are as a person. So
and then to kill themselves.
Yes, but I never
Sure.
tell them to actually kill themselves. I just
Sure.
tell them they're dumb. But anyway, so I got a message today for that. So besides Rocket League and Death Stranding, I didn't play much of the Outer Worlds. I think it's funny because I always do this. Like Kyle Neely bought Greedfall. He finally bought it. So him and I started having a conversation about it. He says he's enjoying it. I think he was at the time 4 hours in, and so I was like, well, I've been wanting to go back to Greedfall. Greedfall is constantly in my mind, so I'm not just saying this because I had a conversation with him. I've been like, dude, you need to go back to Greedfall. You've been distracted by all these other games. You were really enjoying it. This is a game that you need to like play through and finish. Like I want to, kind of like, and I'm going to talk about it in a little bit. Red Dead. I never stopped playing Red Dead. I'd always just come back to it. So I kind of do that with a lot of games, and Greedfall is one of them. So I talked about like, I think I'm going to go back to Greedfall over the Outer Worlds. As soon as I have that conversation with him that night, I go home and I jump back into the Outer Worlds and I kind of get hooked again. Because I was kind of fading from it. Not that, again, my opinion of the game hasn't changed since last week's show, which is basically the gameplay is not fun or interesting to me. Like, for instance, you were saying previously. So
in the other timeline.
Yes, in the other timeline, because we have two recordings, you had said, hey, I found out about this gun on Monarch. I went and got it. And anytime I play Fallout games and I find out about these super powerful guns, I go and find them. That's right? I am interested in getting those guns because I'm the same way. Like, if there's like some special gun, I want to get it,
Yeah.
But in this game, it's of zero interest. I think I have a science weapon. It says it's a science weapon. I don't feel like it's very powerful, though. It's a shrinker. Sure. It's like a little pistol, and you shoot, and it shrinks the enemy. So I think it is one of the special ones. There's not many special weapons in this game. It's like 5 or 6 special weapons. They're all science weapons. But anyways, so because the gameplay isn't that fun, and it's not that interesting to me, I never feel like I'm going to lose. And anytime I do feel like I'm going to lose, I just need to run away and then level up my guns, and then I come back and kill them. So it's not, I don't know, it's just not super exciting. So my opinion hasn't changed from that. But I still appreciate the old school RPG elements of this game. I still enjoy going in and stealing things. I still enjoy the story. I still enjoy the characters and all that. But it's definitely, unless I finish it and the story blows me away, it's not going to be Game of the Year like I was thinking it was going to be. That first day I played it, and I played it for 8 hours, I was like, this is probably, I said it, I was like, this is probably going to be my Game of the Year. Because this year, there's nothing really strong for me. So I was like, I had those emotional feelings playing 8 hours. Plus, I normally don't play a game for 8 hours in one day anymore. Not anymore. But anyway, so I'm not done with the Outer Worlds. I think I'm going to finish it probably before we do the end of the year show. I would also like to get to Greedfall, but I said all that to tell you that I jumped back into Red Dead. So I talk about these other games, and then
totally makes sense.
Yeah, and then I always go, yeah, I'm going to play that, and then I always play something else. So I'm still in Chapter 6 of Red Dead, but I think I only have like 3 missions left.
Yeah, that's the last chapter.
And so. I gotta say, Arthur, and I don't want to spoil it, but him as a character is cool, but what's happening to him is becoming annoying. Like, physically what's happening to him.
Well, I mean, annoying gameplay-wise, but, like, once you get to the certain point, and you kind of look back, like, his journey, kind of like him as a character, because, like, with Red Dead, the first one, was it, shoot, why can't I remember his name now? Not Arthur, the other one. With the longer hair.
The main character from the first one. I know what you're talking about, but I forgot. I'll look it up. You talk and I'll look it up.
Yeah, name's escaping me. Him. A lot of people, I think...
John Marston.
John Marston. There we go, Marston. Jesus. That's such a unique name, the last name, too, Marston. He's been regarded as, like, one of the best characters, like, in video games, in sort of the past, like, 10 years. But like when you look at Arthur's journey and sort of everything that happens to him, it's like, Marston is he was an interesting character, but if you're gonna compare the two, I absolutely think Arthur is a better character.
Yeah, and I think Arthur also has,
or just more interesting.
I was gonna say he has more. Red Dead 2 came out 8 years after the first one, so they've done a better job of writing and developing and all that stuff. But and again, I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to spoil it. But there's something happening to him as I'm nearing the end, and it's kind of annoying to play as him. But overall, I'm still enjoying the game. I still don't really like the slow pace of Red Dead, but I've accepted, obviously, now that I'm in Chapter 6, that this is how the game is. It's just not what I prefer. I'm more into get to the point, give me some actions. I still skip all the cutscenes because I'm like, I understand that. I know you've said it to me before. I understand the story and the characters and all that's what makes Red Dead 2 so special, but I have no interest in it.
It's just funny that you're saying you're skipping the best stuff, but yet when you're playing the game, you're like, it's really slow.
So I'm like fast forwarding to this and still telling you it's slow.
Like, it's just kind of, so that's pretty funny.
So that's I think that's all I'm playing because I did play a little bit of Need for Speed Heat.
Did you? I'm actually kind of curious about this.
I didn't buy it. I have I may have talked about well it's the premium, so I think it's Premier on PC.
Sure.
And that you actually get the full access to the full game, and there is no 10-hour trial limit. There's nothing on it. So it's not EA Access, it's EA Premier. It's $15. It's totally worth it for me. Well, at least for this month, because I was like, well, I'm getting Need for Speed Heat actually early, plus I get the full game. And then I'm getting access to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, or whatever it's called. But then I found Target had a copy of the PC game for $36. I like to own stuff, so I went ahead and bought it. Although it wasn't planned because I was going to use the Premiere for my access. But I want to own it. And then also, my son Eli, he's kind of dropped off Fortnite. Like, he doesn't play it at all anymore. When I say he was playing 8 to 10 hours a day, like when he was home, not during school hours, but 8 to 10 hours when he was home, to now he doesn't play it at all. It's kind of crazy. Like, he just cut it off. And then
Chapter 2 just happened, right?
Something changed.
Like a
sequel
new update or whatever.
Yeah,
not really like a sequel, but
Island or whatever came out, and he doesn't even care. So it was kind of weird because I even asked him when that launched. I'm like, "Aren't you going to go back?" And he's like, "No, I'm done with that game." I'm like, "Okay." But anyways, the point I was trying to make is, so I let him check out FIFA 20 because he used to be really into FIFA games, but he didn't play FIFA 19 really at all because of Fortnite. So I didn't buy FIFA 20. I was like, I'm not wasting my money for him to play 2 hours if he's just going to go back to Fortnite. But anyway, so he started playing FIFA 20. I got to say, FIFA 20 is pretty cool because not obviously what the regular soccer game is going to be, but they've added, I think they call it a Volta mode, which is basically street soccer. It's 3v3, 4v4. It's all about skills and moves. There's no slide
doing tricks and stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like a freestyle, like NBA streets and NFL streets and all that stuff. It's kind of like that style. I think they even had a soccer game back then. FIFA
I think
Streets
they did too. Yeah.
So, which would make sense because that's the biggest sport in the world. But they added it into the regular FIFA, and he's just been playing that a lot. And I even played it a little bit, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I'm actually going to probably buy him FIFA 20 on the Xbox for Christmas or something. So, but it's definitely a cool mode. But anyway, so the Premiere is worth the $15 if you have PC. I know a lot of our listeners don't have PC, but if you do, especially this month, those three games alone are worth it. I did want to mention with Need for Speed Heat, I didn't play it a lot, and here's why. I thought it was kind of garbage, and it's kind of funny because all the reviews came out, and I was expecting it to get blasted with the little bit I played, because I played it before the reviews came out, and the reviews are actually pretty decent. Most of them, I think, were above 7, saying, it's not the greatest racing game, but it's kind of a step back in the right direction for Need for Speed, because Need for Speed has definitely lost their way.
Yeah, they've been kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I support their games like every time they release it. I think I do it out of nostalgia because when the Xbox 360 came out, they released Need for Speed Underground, and that was my favorite game. That was the first game that I was just blown away by the graphics. I would put my music on, and I would just play the heck out of that game. I can't even tell you how many hours I put into it. I actually beat the game. Like, I did everything you could do in that game.
The customizing was probably the best of any sort of
Need for Speed.
Just racing game in general, I think.
It was really well done. And so ever since then, I've kind of just been like, well, I like Need for Speed. And there's been some good ones. Like, I really like Need for Speed Rivals, which is another one that came out at the launch of the PS4, and I bought it, and I loved it. But they're kind of hit or miss. Like, a lot of them are just kind of garbage after that.
The trailer for this one actually looked decent. Like, it looked like it had a lot of customization, kind of like Underground. I was like, ooh, that actually looks kind of nice.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're going back to, is they realize that a lot of people were complaining about the lack of customization. But there's a lot of still cheesy acting. My issue is, and I will go back and play it more, but I am kind of, we're going to talk about Death Stranding a little bit. I just got too much. I mean, we've already talked about Greedfall, The Outer Worlds. Those two games are more in line with what I care about nowadays than, Need for Speed. But I didn't get hooked on it because it was kind of pissing me off with the controls. Like, I'm racing, and my car just felt like it was over-exaggerated. And I understand it's an arcade racer. I like arcade racers, but it was even too much for me. Like, I couldn't even control the car. I was like, what the heck is going on here? And there was a lot of cheesy voice acting and all that stuff, which I heard is like a really bad Fast and Furious type movie. And I'm like, oh, Fast and Furious.
Those movies make millions of dollars. So
yeah, it makes sense for them to go in that direction. It's not going to be something I care about because I don't care about Fast and Furious, but I'll give it a shot. I'm glad because I probably would have bought it. The funny thing is I had $127 in Microsoft currency, which I got over $200 from buying my TV, which I shared this on the show. I bought the TV. Dell gave me $200 for buying the TV, plus you earn rewards for buying it, so I got $40 in rewards for buying it. So I had $240 in Dell currency. So I bought, because they don't sell PlayStation currency, they sell Microsoft. So I bought $240 worth of Xbox currency. So I had $127 left over, and Need for Speed and Star Wars were two games that I was looking at to use that money. Tim bought Star Wars on Xbox, and then I decided to do the PC premiere with Need for Speed. So I had the $127 just sitting there, and I'm looking in future release dates, and I'm like, yeah, there's some games I want, but I don't know if I'm going to want them on the Xbox One X. I might want them on the PC, and I don't know if Tim wants them. They're ones down the road, like the CD Projekt Red's game and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to pre-order them now. So
still plenty of time for that.
Yeah, so I'm actually going into a different direction. I'm no longer talking about Need for Speed. You know how I work. So anyway, so I decide, because I'm not buying Need for Speed, that's why I did this. I see that on Xbox rewards, they have if you buy their new controller, you get 15,000 points, which is $15. And I'm like, okay, but I know the controller's $180.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that thing like 150 or 100?
It's 180. But I was like, so my brain was thinking, I was like, well, what if they let me use my 127 I already got? I didn't pay for this 127. So I'm like, that would mean I'm getting the controller for $60 or less than $60.
The price of a regular controller.
Exactly, and I'm like, well, this controller is definitely worth $60. So,
absolutely.
So I go and I look, and sure enough, it gives me the option to choose my Microsoft money, and then it asks me, how would you like to pay the remaining balance? So I just put my debit card in, hit the button, boom. I'm like, oh my god, I just freaking got an Elite controller Series 2 for I'm including tax, $66.
Excellent.
So I am
#winning.
super excited about that. That will be coming in on Tuesday. So I think it was worth getting that controller over getting the 2 games I was looking at getting, and I'm still going to get access to both those games for way, way less. So, but as far as what I'm playing, that was it. I've got the Elite controller Series 2 coming in, and then the only thing left is Death Stranding.
Yeah.
So I picked that up on Friday, and I said on last week's show, Tim made the joke, Dirk's definitely getting it. I knew I was going to get it because I was already trying, before they even aired the show last week, I was already trying to look and getting deals for it. Like, I was like, oh, is it going to be part of Target's buy 2, get 1 free? I'll just count it as my free game. And then I actually saw that GameStop was giving an additional 20% trade-in, so 30% total, if you put it towards Death Stranding. So I was like, okay. And then you posted, it was actually you, I didn't see this, that you're like, dude, no reason not to try it. If you don't like it, return it within 48 hours, you get $60 back. You don't get $60 in cash, you get $60 trading credit.
Yeah, that's a new thing they must be doing, because I think they just now are doing, I think because Pokemon's next week, and I swear that's on the give it 48 hours. Try it.
I think that's GameStop's way of trying to get people to buy physical again. Hey, there's no risk here, because you buy it, you don't like it, bring it back. Yeah. And I did make sure when I was in the store, because the one I picked it up from is by my work, but I knew 48 hours later I wasn't going to be at work. Right. So I was like, can I take this to any game? So I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So I was like, all right, that works out. I'll do this. So I traded in $47 worth of stuff. I had a $5 certificate from my monthly GameStop. So I only paid $8 out of pocket for Death Stranding.
That's a new thing, too, that they're doing. They're not going to do the 10% anymore, apparently, starting next year. It's going to be $5,
every month you just get a $5 coupon. But you can use it on new, pre-owned, so that's cool, too. And then, it really works if you're buying, a $10 game, you get half off. Yeah. Whereas, 10% would only be $1 off. It only sucks when you're buying something really expensive that you don't get the 10% off. But anyway, so I picked up Death Stranding. I was actually semi-excited for it, not because the reviews pushed me away from my thought of actually really liking this game. So you go, well, why would you want to buy it besides you're just an idiot that buys everything? I really wanted to buy it because I kept watching stuff on it. I was so intrigued on, how can Kojima make such a terrible game? How can he do this? Because I really like Metal Gear Solid. I was like, I can't believe this is really bad. So I kept watching stuff. And the funny thing is everything I would watch, they would still describe everything I don't like, but they're like, oh, I love this game. And I'm like, is it really just everybody's just doing this because of Kojima, or is there a good game in here?
Well, Derek, you see, you just said, oh, it looks like a bad game. It's not a bad game, Derek. It's just a different game, okay?
Okay. You sounded so pretentious when you said that.
It's just a different game, okay? You just need to understand it.
I'll tell you the review, and I didn't get through the whole thing, that sold me on it, and it was just because it was hilarious, was Tim Rogers from, I think, Kotaku. Whatever that website is.
Oh, the hour-long review?
Yeah.
Dude, I actually got, almost 15 minutes into that.
I did, 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, I was like, this is insane. He's just going and going and saying, some pretty articulate things, too.
Yeah, he's actually sounding intelligent while being stupidly funny. Yeah. And then I like the fact that he constantly uses Monday Night Football theme music anytime he does a video. Like he actually did a review for the before I bought the Series 2 controller. It was Tim Rogers' review I watched, and he did an hour-long review on the Elite 2 controller.
That must take a long time for him to get that together.
Dude. But I think he doesn't like script it. I think it's just natural. I think he has his talking points, which is what I do. Like when I preach or do any type of public speaking, I don't write the whole thing out. I do talking points, and then I allow my charm and personality to take over. Yeah. And Monday Night Football hype music. No.
Bum, 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 bum.
But anyway, so I watched his review, and it was pretty funny on that one. For that one too, and I was like, okay, I really hate this website, but this guy, he's legit. But anyway, so he really liked the game, and I'm running into all these people that really like this game. So I'm going, okay, I've got just out of pure, and I've heard other people online say this, I've got to get this game just out of curiosity.
Oh yeah.
And if I am right, then I have 48 hours to get my money back. If I am wrong, which I said last week in the show, and I meant it, I'm willing to be wrong. And I was very adamant that I think this game is just stupid. Like, it's just Kojima being dumb. But I'm willing to admit I am wrong. I don't think in the long run I will be wrong. But for right now, spoiler alert, I'm wrong.
I think you're still wrong, but you're going to get to a point where what you're actually enjoying now will no longer still be enjoyable.
So let me say this, and I know there's some of our listeners, or hopefully we have some listeners, not just people that whine in our group that don't actually listen to our show. But for some of our people in our group, and maybe potential listeners, that agreed with me that the gameplay sounded like a complete turnoff because it sounds like a chore. And it is funny because you really are just an Uber mailman.
You are actually doing chores.
Yes, you are just doing chores. And I was like, seriously, don't want to play a game that's all about balancing and managing. But they make everything really easy. Let me explain. First of all, I am not playing this game on normal. I have zero interest in playing this game on normal. Because it already sounded like a frustrating game, gameplay-wise. So I went into it going, I will not allow this to frustrate me. So I turned the level down. So I'm just being transparent off the top. So if somebody goes in and plays it normal, they might be like, Derek, it's way harder than you're making it seem. It's not hard for me. Now, again, I'm not putting it on a difficult level. But they've made it really easy for me to control and to play the game without feeling like I have to stop every 5 seconds to be like, can I walk in this direction or am I going to slip and fall? And the R2, L2 thing that you have to do to balance yourself, yes, at times it's annoying. I did have one part where it got really annoying. Like, I literally fell in a river and started floating down the river and all my shit fell off. And I was like, I even said, like, what the... I'm got to bleep because I already said shit. But
which you said again.
But I was like, what the... Because I didn't understand why I fell. I thought I was doing fine. I must have stopped paying attention to something. But overall, it's not been that difficult, and it's been a little tedious, but I've kind of had fun with it. There's been a little bit of annoyance. Like, there was one journey that I felt was, like, really long. But I also find... keep in mind, guys, when you're listening to me, this is not me trying to find ways to like this game. Sure. I was actually trying to dislike this game. But I actually found, like, satisfaction in, like, exploring new ways to get to where I'm trying to get, and then also running into other people's stuff. So that's something, and maybe you can talk about that too. Like, I absolutely love the little Dark Souls-y type thing they have with this online. Like, for instance, I'll just use you an example. Daniel may, in his game, set up a ladder in an area, and I might run into that ladder.
Right.
And it'll say, your username, put this ladder here, and I can like it. Like, I can give you a bunch of likes in a certain time frame if I'm really appreciative of you dropping that ladder. And I have. I've ran into people's ladders. I've ran into people's rope lines and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, you just made my game easier. Thank you. And so I like what they did, and I'm liking that it's in this game. And I know reviews hit on it, but at the time when I was listening to it, I was like, I don't really care. Because I play Dark Souls games. I don't really care about the little dumb messages people leave, because most of the time they're really misleading and stupid.
Well, that's what's different, because they're just messages. This is an actual physical thing someone's placing in the game.
Dropping things in the world that are helping me. So I really like that aspect of it. But and now I'm going to let you talk. Plus, I got to get some water. My throat's getting dry, and I've talked way too long. But for me, what has really intrigued me, and so far, again, I'm only 3 or 4 hours in. You know my opinion's going to change. I'll call it right now. Next week, I'm going to tell you this game's garbage. But it is. It'll get old. I'll be like, this is so stupid. I'm in episode 2, by the way.
Okay.
So I'm not.
I think I'm at the end of that. So.
Oh, you're on. Okay. I think
I'm
on my second mission on episode 2. I think.
Did you make it to the fan? Was it the fan farm, or it's like a fan station that's provides energy to some of the locations around, or?
I don't think so.
Okay, so
I think I unlocked episode 2 and then traveled to the first base area in episode 2.
So that's
and then they
like
gave me a job, and I'm now out there collecting like crystals and stuff like that.
Right. Okay. So that's gonna be like the next sort of like that's gonna be like the 0.5 mission to then like sort of the next main mission.
Okay.
So, but yeah, you're not too far behind me. So.
All right. So I might be a little bit more into this game than I realized, but I think what I've enjoyed so far is the mystery of. There's just so many, like, I don't know what you're saying. Like, I don't know what's going on. So this is why
Which is very Kojima.
Yes, this is very Kojima, so I'm not caught off guard by that. But I don't know if he's going to be able to... That's the thing. Like, I would have to play this game to the end, or I would have to go to YouTube and be like, all right, play as much as I can play until I'm done with this game, and then I'm going to have to watch a video explaining what I went through. But here, before I say this, because it's very important, you can always go to YouTube and get a story, right? You can be like, okay, what is Death Stranding? What's the story? What's the plot? And then they tell you the twist or whatever it is at the end. I'm guessing maybe it's not a twist, but maybe they just bring it all together and help you make sense of what you've been doing and why this is happening. And there's going to be no impact. So this is why the reviews were saying it's a slow burn. What they're meaning is like, you're not going to have any impact with somebody just walking in the room and be like, this is why you did everything you did in this game.
Sure.
Unless you experience doing it, and then it's revealed because you've spent 40 hours doing it, and you're like, oh, and that's what he does. That's what he did for me in Metal Gear Solid 5. I played that game 40, 50 hours or whatever, thought the story was okay, thought it was weird, wasn't blown away by it. And then, not the original ending, but if you play beyond it and get the actual ending, there's a twist at the end that I was like, dude.
I actually never got. I did like the like ending, the first. I never went past that. I don't know.
You really should.
Yeah.
If you've never
I don't
had
even
it
own
spoiled,
it anymore, but
if you don't
actually, wasn't it one of the PlayStation Plus games? I think it was
on Xbox Live. It was one of their gold games, but the definitive edition was actually $10. It might actually be $10 now because of that sale. I would suggest buying it, to be honest with you, if you still have your save, and then eventually going back and playing it, because it's worth it. Like the actual real ending, the ending is a nice Kojima twist that makes you go, oh. In fact, I'm just sharing about this based off memory. I would actually have to go back and watch it and be like blown away by it again. But so I'm kind of hoping that's what this is about. That's what's intriguing me. That's what's getting me to play this game for as long as I'm planning on playing it and hopefully beating it. I don't think I will. But I didn't think I was going to beat Days Gone. Here I am. I beat
and
Days
it didn't have
Gone.
the best reviews either. So
No, so I don't care about that. That's never
Right.
been my thing. It's just whether I have fun with the game, which, again, let me say this. I've seen people debating, like, this game deserves to be hated because it's not fun. Games are supposed to be fun. And then I've heard people say the counter, which is, that's stupid. There's certain movies and certain entertainment that isn't fun, but is necessary or meaningful, and you can enjoy it even though it's not fun. And I actually... I believe it to be true that a video game does not have to be fun. It just depends on the person. If you only play video games to have fun, then that rule applies because you're like, the game's got to be fun because that's your own subjective rule that you've put in place. For me, for the most part, now where I'm at, games should be fun. If they're not fun, I tend to like lose interest in them. That's why the Outer Worlds, I'm like struggling a little bit because I'm like, this isn't fun to play. But it's not
I'm
terrible.
opposite of you though, because like I will get bored if a story isn't interesting.
Yes,
So I'll be like, oh, this is fun to play, but like,
and that's why I think
you know.
Death Stranding could probably get old for me because if it doesn't pace itself. I don't, and also I'm not a very patient person, but if it doesn't pace itself in a way where I'm like, okay, you're unlocking new things, I like this, I like that, okay, I like these subtle changes, I feel comfortable, I want to keep playing it, because I already know the story, even if it doesn't have a satisfying ending, I think the pacing of the story is always going to be interesting. There's always going to be that hook, because literally nothing in this game makes sense. I don't know what's going on. I don't. The only thing I know is that this person died that was my mom, who was apparently the president, wants me to connect America again. And then my sister, who's not in the room with me, but is trapped somewhere and doesn't age, is now going to become the president, and she wants me to help her for mom and for America. And I'm like, okay.
Well, so I think the world of the living and the dead have like met in the middle, right? Because they keep talking about the beach, which
is, I'm guessing, where the sister is, and she's probably dead, right?
Potentially, but then it's like, well, then how is she projecting herself into our world? So it's like, how is that happening? If
She's
on
using
the,
the
other side?
power of Death Stranding.
Well, and that's and Norman Reedus' character Sam has like, he'll go to sleep and then he's had dreams and visions of the beach because he's what is it? How do they pronounce it? Repatriate.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. But
Yeah, that weird sounding word where, and he's a repatriate, if I'm saying the word in the game correctly, where basically when you die, you come back. So like in the trailers when they showed like the camera go into his throat and then the baby's giving the thumbs up, like it does that when you die. So basically like when you die, it goes into kind of first person. It's almost like your soul's looking for the body again, and you like swim towards your body and then you enter it again. From the other side, which is I think that's what the Death Stranding is. That's what that actually is.
And then Norman's
space.
character, he has a BB that is the BB, right? Yeah, BB that is
Bridge
defective.
baby.
Yes, it's a defective BB, but he
Yes.
decides to keep it because he feels connected to it. And this BB has these memories that have Mads, whatever his name,
Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads Mikkelsen in it, who's, I'm guessing, the father of this BB. So, like, that's my point. Just listen to me describe the story. It's like, I'm guessing, I think, okay. So, guess what it's doing? It's making me think the entire time. So, there's the mystery hook there. Like, and it's not just one core mystery, like, who killed this person? No, there's, like, literally the entire universe of this game.
All of
is
its
a
rules,
mystery.
like, what are those
Yes.
rules, you know?
I don't even fully understand how to play it properly yet. I'm slowly learning that. But overall, let me just say my overall, and then you can talk about it for a bit. I didn't take the game back. That's the first thing. We're past the 48 hours. I decided to go ahead and keep it, and I plan on playing it, so I'm not just keeping it to keep it. I'm intrigued by the story. I think the world's pretty. I'm playing on the PS4 Pro. I think it looks good. I think the gameplay. Let me say this part: the gameplay where you're actually hiking, we'll call it hiking, is okay. It's not terrible. It's not boring. It's almost like Tetris, and what I mean by that is you're not actually, moving pieces, but it's like you're solving a puzzle on how to get to place without getting things damaged and falling over and stuff. But it's not irritable right now, like for me. But again, I'm not playing on normal. And then as far as the one part that's annoying me is and maybe it's just because this is why I play games. I want a gun. I want to shoot things. I want to punch things, and there's nothing to do in this game. The enemies are stupid. Like I said, the enemy is the traversing right now. There are other enemies. Like I was doing one mission. I'm guessing it's not just something that happened to me, that it's actually part of this mission. So you probably already experienced it. Where you're traversing, and this is in episode 2, you're traversing to one of the bases or whatever. And as I was getting pretty close to it, they do like this scan, and they're like, "Oh crap, they're on to you. They are reading you or whatever." And I look to the left, and there's like 4 or 5 guys chasing me.
The BTs? Or are you talking about
humans.
the mules?
They're
the
humans.
mules?
Yeah, they're humans.
Yeah, the mules. Yeah, they're basically like scavengers. They try to
Yeah,
mug you, essentially.
Yeah, they want to deliver your mail, basically.
Or they just want to take it. They just want to collect it. They're almost like hoarders. They're like muggers
It's UPS versus FedEx. That's what this game is about.
Sure. Yeah.
So UPS wants to kill me, which is FedEx.
DHL is extinct.
So that's that. I did run into that, but you can't just I don't even have a gun, so it's not like I can pull out a gun and be like, "Come get my stuff, junk." Kill them and take their stuff. I think later on in the game you do get weapons, but even then they say you're not really overpowered. It's really hard. They actually tell you in one of the videos I watched, they're like, "Just run away. Just run away." For the most part, just run away. And so that's what I did. I didn't even bother engaging with them. I just ran away. I didn't try to fight them or anything like that. But overall, gameplay is okay. It's not great. To me, if you are interested in this game, I'm not going to tell you to go buy it. You should have already bought it if you were that interested. If you're on the fence, I'm going to tell you no until it's on sale. But if you bought it, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be unsatisfied, because I think the story and the world and the characters and all that stuff is so it's interesting enough that he can do what he's doing as far as changing the way we play video games. I'm just not going to give him credit and say, well, he's changing it in such a good way. He's not.
He created a new genre.
Yeah,
the Strand game.
Yeah. So I'm not disappointed. It's not my game of the year. I will get annoyed if it wins game of the year. Even if I think the story is amazing, I still think a game should be intriguing and fun. I don't think Red Dead Redemption 2 is that fun to play, but there's still aspects of it that are fun.
Sure.
Ronaldo, can you get me... I seriously need some water.
I need to go to bed.
I know you need to go to bed, but I'm doing my... Okay.
I'm like half.
He was trying to stealth. He thought we were playing Metal Gear Solid. So
I was going to say, you're looking down. Is the cat, approaching you?
Well, I thought it was the cat, and I looked down, and it's Eli, and he's like, shh. I'm like, are you stealthing?
Well, he heard Kojima. He thought you were talking about Metal Gear. But we're talking about Death Stranding, so...
Yeah, he loves Kojima. You love Kojima?
Who's that?
It's anime.
That sounds gay.
How dare you? That's racist.
I just wanted to say that. Because his sister's in the anime, so we make fun of her all the time.
Is she?
Yeah, we call her.
Wait, hold on. Why are you making fun of her? Anime is fantastic. How dare you?
It's so try hard. It's try hard.
Yeah, because you're not try hard at all.
No. All right, so I'm gonna walk away for just a second.
Tight pants,
you start talking about your
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll talk to myself about this thing.
I promise, I'll be back. I just need water.
Okay. Sure. So Derek said a whole lot of stuff, right? So that's interesting. Um, I'm not surprised that he is enjoying some aspects of it. I had a feeling he was at least going to enjoy some of it because he obviously enjoys Kojima's games because they are interesting. That is definitely something that Kojima is apparently still capable of, and that's making an interesting game. Whether you think of interesting as the story being interesting or making some weird, UPS game where you're delivering random junk to people. But yeah, I'm further than Derek. I've definitely probably seen a bit more, and as far as some of the enemies, because he was mentioning the mules, so those guys are interesting. I don't have any weapons, so basically you have actually just like a cable on your waist that you can use to strangle them. There was actually a very specific mission that I was doing where I had to go to a drop box that they sort of kind of took over that particular area, and the drop box where you can sort of deliver cargo to that essentially. So he had mentioned people dropping items in the environment to help you. You can actually also deliver items that people have dropped on the ground. So say maybe they died, or they just dropped something because they were running away from an enemy. It might pop up in your game, so you can pick those items up, drop them at the Dropbox, and it'll basically carry on to somebody else delivering them. I'm not 100% sure how that aspect works, because I don't think I've noticed where I can grab those items and deliver them, but maybe I'm just not noticing and I'm being stupid. But I was fighting those mules, and I had sort of like a cable, almost like Hitman, I guess. Well, he has a wire, but and I was sneaking around, and that felt like the most Metal Gear aspect of this game so far, other than the outrageous story. But I was sneaking around in the grass, sneak up behind them and taking them out. So that was kind of cool, but again, you don't have any guns at this point in the game. So when sort of I was alerted and a bunch of them came after me, it basically kind of broke down as far as that particular aspect of the game. I'm talking about the combat.
Okay.
Because you had mentioned the mules, so I wanted to say I actually took on a couple of times like a group of them.
Okay.
And it felt like the most Metal Gear aspect of the game so far, other than the story.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can actually sneak around in the grass. I don't know if you noticed, the item is actually called Strand. So it's like rope.
Yes.
That you can actually take out, and you can strangle them with it and knock them unconscious.
Okay.
So that felt like the most Metal Gear thing so far, just because I was sneaking around. Only thing that's really annoying is that, so the particular area that I was in, they have like these, I guess, sensors strewed about. So like I literally just entered near where they are, and it just basically scanned the environment, and then it like found me. So I was like, can I shut this off? Like, is there any way to avoid that? I couldn't really tell, to be honest. So, but the combat was super easy. Like, I strangled a couple of them, but then the rest of them saw me, so they like came towards me, and all I did was basically kind of run around in a circle like an idiot, and I got behind them and just started pressing square, which Sam just starts punching, and I basically knocked him out. So, there wasn't anything kind of special to it, and I don't have any. I still don't have any guns either in the game, and I'm a bit further, so...
Don't you have, like, grenades, though? I don't know how to throw them or anything. I haven't done anything.
Well, so you equip them, and then you hold L2, and then I think if you hold R2, it, like, you can throw it further. I forget what the button combination is, but you hold L2 to actually kind of have the arch going, and then I think if you hold R2, the longer you hold it, then you can throw the grenade further. But yeah, there's a couple of different grenades that I've obtained so far. The more recent one actually involves his blood, and that's kind of connected to the story. So when you're throwing those at the BTs, which are the other enemies, the sort of, I don't know what you want to call them.
Stop.
They're sort of the enemies that are like, I guess, like from the other side, but they appear in our world.
Yeah.
Anime
They're like the middleman.
Yeah, well, I forget. I don't know if BT. I don't think they've actually said what BT stands for. But yeah, they're sort of like the otherworldly beings that will appear. So like what happens is the camera kind of like or the game slows down and the camera zooms in and your little scanner device kind of starts going crazy. And it basically is like blinking. It's like opening and blinking in the direction of where the BTs are. So when you're sneaking through that area, it moves along to kind of face them, so you kind of get a general direction of where they are. And
one of the videos I watched said that you should just fight them. Like, you should just let them catch you, and then you just have to fight one enemy, and it clears all of them out in that area.
That seems weird, though, because every time that I've been... Anytime in the missions where I've had to go through an area that has them, I'm delivering something. So what ends up happening is when they get near you, like, the ground turns all sort of like that, turns like gray and like almost like muddy, and then hands and bodies are coming up to try to pull me under.
Yeah.
And stuff starts falling off of you.
Yeah.
So then that messes with the whole...
Well, I don't think you want to fight them while you have packages, but I'm saying, like, unless you have to. And I'm not doing it right now until I learn how to use grenades or actually get a gun. But, like, one of the videos, I think it was like a tips and trick thing, they're like, hey, instead of just stealthing around these guys, if you just let them catch you and drag you under, you just fight one of them. It's not that hard of a fight, and it clears them out, so you don't have to worry about them for that area ever again. I don't think they ever come back in that area.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that seems interesting, because, I mean, that seems like kind of easy, but again, like... Again, anytime I've hit an area where they are, I'm delivering something. So if the stuff that I'm delivering gets damaged, that can potentially mess with the score. So in this game, you actually get a score when you deliver something to a new city or drop or whatever. So depending on the quality of the things that you're delivering, you'll get more likes. How fast you get there. There's a few different things. The menus are pretty cluttered with information. Sometimes it's a little overwhelming and disorienting. You're like, what am I actually supposed to be looking at here? There's a lot of words and a lot of meters and things being filled. I think I've gotten a general gist of a lot of it, but there's still... It definitely visually looks overwhelming, so... But that's kind of like... The point of the delivery system is you're bringing something to a new location because, like Derek said, you're trying to bring America back together again. Make America great again. This is
so
actually
do you
the
think
Donald
the
Trump
ending...
simulator.
I was going to say, is the ending just going to be like Donald Trump? He's going to come out in like a MAGA hat and be like, thank you.
Well, I've definitely seen some images
Bridger.
of him because you get a hat from somebody and they you can obviously customize the equipment, so it was like they changed it to a red hat.
Nice.
And it kind of just looked like the MAGA hat, but yeah, you're basically trying to, because essentially your sister, like Derek had mentioned, went across the country with a sort of a entourage of people to try to, I guess, set up stations throughout the country and then make it all the way to the West Coast to connect into some sort of network. They call it the chiral network, but I'm not 100% sure what that chiral part means. But it has something to do with like our past, like the human race's past, and kind of connecting all of that information together, which is supposed to help somehow fight against, those BTs and sort of all of the death stuff that's happening. Again, the story, I'm only not even 10 hours in, so obviously I don't fully know what's going on, but he has a necklace that he brings to each of these stations. That's what's connecting them all together. So that's like the main thing that's happening. You find out your sister has been kidnapped. She's there, and they want you to go to all of these main cities as you're going throughout to the West Coast to bridge them back into that network that they were trying to create, I guess. I just don't know the specifics of like the network and what that really totally means yet. But that's kind of the main thing that's thrusting you forward story-wise. From at the point that where I'm at, obviously there was more going on in the beginning, but because you had mentioned the mother, which I was actually a little confused by, because there was like a cutscene where like, so the blonde woman, which is his sister, right?
Yeah.
Emily, or is it Emily?
Emily.
Or Amelie.
Yeah.
I thought it was potentially his mom because it shows like almost like him maybe having like a vision or a dream where it was him as a kid, but then Amelie looked like the way she does now, which was really weird. I don't know if you remember that specific cutscene.
It could be just his mom when she was younger, and she's on the beach. I don't know.
It was just weird because it definitely was that character. Like I was like, oh, is that his mom when she was younger? But then then his sister popped up, and I was like, but that's the same woman. So that's confusing.
Guys, we're not selling this game very well.
Listen, well, so the first thing I wanted to say, even before any of this, I got rambly because you left, so I didn't really know kind of where to go with it. But I don't envy these professional reviewers when they had to review this game. Because whether they liked it or not, like this isn't a game that you can just talk about and be like, yeah, so go buy this, or even tell somebody not to buy it. I don't think the content
of the reviews really matter with this game, and even still, like you said, I'm playing the game, and I could tell you, they were right about the gameplay so far. Obviously, I haven't advanced very far, but what they talked about, I agree with the IGN reviewer about, like, hey, this is tedious and stupid. Like, I'm not saying it's miserable, and he didn't even say he was miserable. He just said it was just kind of dumb, and I would agree with that.
I think I mentioned having watched the review, and I was still interested from the Easy Allies on the last episode. And I went back because there was a specific chunk that was written in or that was said in the video review. I wanted to read it because it honestly, like this right here, just specifically kind of like is what made me be like, all right, well, I know what I'm getting into now. And now that I'm playing it, I'm like, this makes sense. And it's exactly what I'm feeling. So I just wanted to read it real quick. So Ben Moore wrote the review, and then Brandon Jones is the one that voices it because that's what he does. But so he said, Death Stranding contains aspects that could have been better. It's also easy to cherish your time with it. It is exactly the kind of game that opens your eyes to how nauseatingly safe games are. Death Stranding shoots for the moon, carelessly tossing away conventions in ways others wouldn't dare. The game wants you to be uncomfortable, confused, bored, and reflect on those feelings, to sit with them for a while. Like that last aspect, that last couple of sentences, where it wants you to feel uncomfortable, confused, bored, and to kind of reflect on them, I think that pretty much sums up this game so far for me. I think Kojima wants you to feel that way. He wants to be like, listen, like, you want a gun in your hand, right? You want it, right? Well, you're not getting it, so I want you to sit here. I want you to carry these stupid boxes on your back. That makes no sense. How is he even carrying all of those boxes?
I feel like all of this is just a trap, and I've fallen for it.
Like he's making you carry these boxes places, and then sometimes there's ghosts that pop up and try to just beat the crap out of you. And like, this is a game.
So are we just playing Luigi's Mansion like outdoors?
Yeah, Mario. Like, yeah, this is realistic Luigi's Mansion.
I mean, he did release it just a week after Luigi's Mansion came out.
Exactly. This is actually a prequel to the first Luigi's Mansion.
All right, so I think everybody gets the gist of what the game is as far as our understanding of it. I think they get the gist
or
of
lack thereof.
Yeah, how we feel about it. Would you say overall, so far, you're enjoying it, and do you plan on continuing to play through this? And I would say to end it, is it something you think you will finish, or do you think you're going to get sick of it and move on?
I'm going to finish it. I need to know how this game ends, like, because that's definitely the main driving force. Again, like, this game is weird. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's hard to explain why I'm liking it. I feel like the hiking and the walking around is like relaxing in a weird way. Like, I'm playing a video game. I'm not outside actually hiking in some like amazing environment, but like the game does look very good. Even just on regular PS4, it looks amazing. So I can't even imagine what it looks like on Pro. But
It's good. I mean, I've seen better games though, so I wouldn't say like I didn't look at this game and go, it's the best looking game. Like I would even say Red Dead Redemption 2 looks better.
Sure, which is actually pretty crazy because that's a true open world game. But yeah, it's obviously not for everybody. Listening to anything anyone says about this game, like, absorb that information, but like it's something you have to actually experience it. It's just one of the games that
I would
just
agree.
have to.
I would agree with that. I would say, as somebody who's pretentious and gets annoyed when people try to tell me artsy BS, and I start to think they're making crap up. Like, honestly, I would have, if I wouldn't have bought this game and I would have just listened to you talk, I would have been like, Daniel, you're full of crap, bro. You're just forcing yourself to like this because you're a fanboy. Like, that would have been my thought process. And to a certain extent, I still do think some of those reviewers were doing that. They were just like, oh, it's Kojima, he's so artsy, and I'm cool because I like his art. And I'm not that way. Like, if anything, I fight and resist against that crap. But I did my research, and that's what I would tell listeners. There are several guys who listen to our podcast that they buy games on a budget. And even if it drops to $20, they won't buy it if they're just not interested. I think this is the type of game that you've got to do your research on. Like, you do need to watch multiple reviews. I will say this. I watched a lot of reviews. All the things that I took away from those reviews that I was overwhelmingly negative about and was frustrated with and really disappointed that this game is this and that and this. Now that I've played it, again, I'm only 3 or 4 hours in, and my opinion is subject to change even by next week if I play it more. I would say it's not as bad as some of the reviews made it seem. And that would include the IGN one. I don't disagree with his review so far. I would probably fall more in line with him than all these other weirdos that are giving it 9s and 10s. But I would also say I went into it with the perspective of like, this is going to be a drag to play, but I'm only playing it because I want to see what the story and the universe is all about. Like, I'm intrigued by that. And yet I'm playing it going, okay, the gameplay's kind of fun. It's not great. It's not terrible. I still, like Daniel mentioned, still want a gun in my hand. I still want to fight. I want to do what I do in Metal Gear Solid. And I can't, and Kojima's not letting me on purpose, I think.
Kojima said no. He said no. No gun for you. You're not getting a gun.
But I would say educate yourself, but I would say be a little more open than maybe you were before. Because I am now that I've actually played it. And
well,
again,
that's what's hard to tell somebody to do that too, because there are people who are on the complete opposite side of like the pretentious people, which are the people that are trying super hard to be angry at the pretentious people and like making like this impossible stand.
It's the internet, I understand.
Yeah. Well,
there's people, and
so.
I think Breath of the Wild is another one that's very, because it got so much love, even by our podcast, we loved it to death. I think it was my game of the year that year, and Tim's as well. But I see so many people that we could be talking about Death Stranding. I'm not talking about in our group, but just in groups, of gaming groups. You could be talking about Death Stranding. Somebody has to make a comment about Breath of the Wild. It's so overrated.
But why?
The systems are dumb. It's dumb. And the point I'm trying to make is you're always going to have people that are going to fight against things that are popular. And maybe they legitimately don't like it. But I have found through my 15 plus years of dealing with internet trolls and being one myself, a lot of those people don't even play the games. They just like to go on there and shit on anything that you like. If you like Death Stranding and they have no interest in playing it, they're going to tell you how terrible it is and that all those reviewers lied. So even I know that not everybody in our Facebook group and who listens to us like me, like my personality, like how I talk, like how I do things. But you can at least respect the fact that if I hate a game, I usually have played it before. I don't just go, Death Stranding's trash, and then stick with that narrative and never play it. Same
or
thing,
you do, but then you say that you're just being...
But even like Journey. Yeah. Journey is a game that I get angry just the thought of people praising that trash. I played it, and I actually finished the game.
Sure.
Gone Home, I didn't play it through, but I actually booted it up and gave it a shot. And I was like, nope, I already know what this is, and I have no... And the ending was already spoiled, so that's the part of Gone Home that's supposed to be like, oh, and I was like, oh, no, stupid. So my point is, there's always
so
going to be...
homophobic.
Yes, I am. There are so many haters that just want to hate, and I get that. I can do that too, but my thing with this game is, I think it's legitimately good. You're going to probably hear me yell at people though online if you start talking about it as a game of the year. Even in this weak year, I don't think it's artsy in a good way or different in a good way that it's like it needs to win awards. I think it's different, but it's not. Let me say it like this. Like you were saying, maybe this was a honest to God design choice by Kojima where he's like,
sure,
I'm playing this game and I'm going, I want a gun. I'm not going to give my players a gun. I'm going to make them play this game even though they want to play this one, right? Maybe that was a conscious design choice by him. But that's not being artsy as far as, like, he didn't create an entire new way of playing video games. Nothing I'm doing in this game is any different than I've done in anything else. All it's doing is taking away certain things that I like and adding certain things that I don't like, but then putting it in a story and universe that I care about, that it's semi-intriguing. Like the systems that they have in place and why you're doing it. Because they do explain it to you. They're not like, Sam, you have to go do this. Like, they explain why you're doing it, why Sam's not a fighter, why he actually resists like me. Maybe Sam represents the gamers out there, and he's just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to help you.
Dude, he said like 30 times, he's like, I'm done. I'm done. And they kept just being like, Sam, wait. And he's like, I'm done.
They kept bothering him. Some weird guy with a mask on.
Sure.
But anyway,
Die Hard Man.
I do think this game, story-wise, universe-wise, and even some of the gameplay is good. I'm hoping that I can beat it. I doubt I will with all these other great games out that I haven't even finished yet. But I am going to keep plucking away until I get to a place where I'm like, you know what, this is dumb. And I'm not going to waste my time. Or if I never hit that point, and I did hit that point with Days Gone. I left Days Gone for 4 months, and then I just came back and locked in, and I was like, all right, you know what, let's just beat the game. And even when I came back to Days Gone, I wasn't coming back to beat it. I was just coming back because I was like, well, let's just play it, and let's see how far we are from the end. And I was not that close. I had like half the game, if not more, to play. So I had a lot to do in that game, but it hooked me and I got into this rhythm where I was like, okay, I don't care about the story, but the gameplay's fun, that I want to see this to the end. Now, the payoff actually ended up being pretty good. It has a decent story and universe that they've created that I'm like, okay, I would definitely take a sequel because I know it should be better than what they offered, and I already like what they offered. So I'm hoping maybe Death Stranding falls into that category, where maybe I play it for 10, 15 hours, and then I'm like, okay, let me move on to something else. Like, we already know Star Wars is coming out. I'm definitely going to go to Star Wars. But I'm not thinking Star Wars is going to be a 40 to 60 hour game. So at some point I'm going to be able to go back to either this or Greedfall or The Outer Worlds. I'm hoping this game will hook me, and then even if I do take a break, that the mystery of it, the intrigue of it, the conversation on the internet of it will get me to a place where I'm like, you know what? I want to go back and play this. Because that's I will say that's one of the reasons why I went back to Days Gone, is joining the What Good Games group, whatever. They kept talking about Days Gone. A lot of them were like, I loved it. I was like, you know what? I liked it too. Let me just go finish it. Let me go play it again. So I'm hoping that the water cooler conversations about Death Stranding will kind of light a fire and get me to want to play it more. But as of right now, 3 or 4 hours in, I like it. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I would give it a 7, 7.5. And all those points are for the universe and story and acting and dialogue. And very little of it is for the gameplay. But I do want to make sure I'm clear. The gameplay is not, at least on the lower level of difficulty, it's not infuriating. Like it's not annoying like I thought it was going to be. Where I'm like, oh my God, I'm falling every 5 seconds. Because I'll tell you right now, that will get me to quit the game. If it gets to a place where like their level of difficulty is just making it harder and harder for you to get from one place to the other, and it's not fun, like you're not punching guys in the face or shooting them. It's just falling over rocks and getting hit by, getting carried away by a river, then I probably will quit the game because I'm like, nope, this is stupid.
You're gonna trip over some rocks, bro.
Yeah, I already busted once, and then I haven't done
Kick rocks.
And then I obviously told Joe about the river incident. But that's it. Other than that, I have safely made it through every mission and gotten a S rating, I think. Awesome rating.
I think I've only not gotten it like once or twice.
I've gotten it every time. So,
Yeah.
But again, I'm playing it on easy difficulty. I'm
Yeah,
sure that
I am playing on normal, and I don't even think. Yeah, I don't know if maybe the things you're carrying are just like less weight, so you don't have to worry about the balancing so much. But
it's probably just easier to keep your balance.
Sure.
Well,
that's all based off of the weight of the stuff you're carrying, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying
actually the positioning too.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. The managing is easy. You just go into the menu, hit triangle. It'll ask you if you wanted to sort it to level
optimize the sorting. Yeah,
optimize your weight, and then you confirm it, and it's done. So that you don't have to sit here and it's not literally Tetris where you're like, I'm going to put this one here,
right?
This one here. It just
you
does
can,
it for
apparently,
you.
But
yeah, well, why would you? But
exactly.
There's people out there. But yeah,
all jokes aside, and being and pretentiousness aside, it is relaxing. It is interesting. It has the feeling of a Kojima game. Like this game feels like if you didn't know Kojima made this game, and like you watched the trailer and you were watching a trailer that was like the story and the cutscenes, you'd be like, oh, Kojima made this. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, but again, like it's not for everybody.
No.
Rent the game, or if you want to do that whole GameStop thing where you can buy a used game and they give you like literally 30 days to return it with the receipt. If you're that curious, like buy it used, like
rent it from Redbox, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think if you're already considering getting it, it's a good purchase. That's the point. Is like everything seems. Pacing wise, I heard that was the issue. I actually kind of like the pacing. What I mean by is, yes, it's a slow paced game, so no, that I don't like. But what I like is that there's enough story, cutscenes, and dialogue, which you would think that would be what I hate. But with this type of game where you're not like, oh, I can't wait to get out there and play. It's not one of those games where you're like dying to play it. The story is kind of front and center. Like this is almost feels like this is a movie with a little bit of gameplay, and so it's like the movie part of it is interesting, and you're doing the gameplay to get to the movie. Does that make sense? So in the first 3 or 4 hours, where everybody's like, it's really slow, I didn't walk away, and maybe again it's perspective. I didn't walk away from it going, this is dragging, this is really slow. So I'm like, if this is the bad part of the game. That's why I think I might be able to finish it, because I'm like, I'm kind of enjoying it, and this is the bad part. So we'll see.
Hopefully only get better.
That's what I'm hoping.
Chapter 3 is supposedly supposed to be a good turning point with some interesting things and new things getting thrown in. So
we'll talk about it next week. We'll close up this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the discussion. I think overall both Daniel and I are enjoying this game. We realize it's not for everybody, but anybody who's listening knows this game is definitely not for everybody. It's a niche style of game. I wouldn't say Kojima games in general are that way. Maybe storytelling, yes, but like I think Metal Gear games play amazing. Like especially Metal Gear Solid 5. This feels good, but it doesn't have the gameplay aspects that you're used to in most open world style games that you could sell this to anybody. But I think it's going to end up selling well. It's obviously reviewed well. I think at the end of the day, it's going to win some Game of the Years. If you're interested, I say at some point, you don't have to do it now, definitely worth a purchase, definitely worth a rental. But we'll talk about it next week. Again, my opinions usually shift week by week, and it's based off of my temperament. So if I am playing this game and I am pissy and I start falling over losing packages, I might delete this game and go only get $30 from GameStop. So you never know.
The BB is crying, and you're like, "Hey, shut your mouth! I'm trying to deliver
I
some
will say
packages."
that is annoying when those stupid things are there and the baby's like crying through my controller. I'm like, really? And I can't shut you up?
Just switch it. Yeah, you can switch that.
All right, I will.
Yeah, but I give this game a BB thumb up. So BB thumb up.
You're the most cheesy person I know.
BB thumb up.
That's probably why you like Final
BB.
Fantasy. All right, guys, that's our show. That's, I think, episode 186. It was pretty good because Tim wasn't here, and this was actually the second show we recorded. We recorded a full show before. No, I'm just kidding. We recorded like 10 minutes, and we were like,
we didn't record anything. That's just a different timeline that we saw in a vision.
I was going to say, but my BB told me that we had it. Gave me
what happened was the demons dragged us down into the Death Stranding, and we saw the other timeline where you kept leaving, and I was just talking about Christmas and how people hate Christmas, apparently.
My cat's attacking my butt right now. All right, so that's our show, and we can cut it off now. Say bye.
Okay. Peace.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?